Hi, I'm Joe LaGilia, and on this episode of Not Your Average Joe, we're speaking with local author Kendra Esbrook. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Not Your Average Joe, powered by Mortgage Message. My name is Joe LaGilia, and today I'm joined with local author Kendra Esbrook. Kendra, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Joe.
I'm so excited to have you here, and there's so many reasons we're going to talk about why this time of year your mission is so important. But I want to kick off the interview by asking you to introduce yourself to everyone, who you are, where you're from, and talk a little bit about your mission.
Okay. I'm Kendra Esbrook. I'm a local mom of 3, wife of 1. And I am a self-published author of 2 children's books with the 3rd on the way.
So exciting. So I want to talk about the first book that we have here, A Bag for Santa. Mm-hmm. And please feel free to bring it up for our audience. Talk about, if you can, kind of the inspiration of where this started and just the journey of what it's been after writing this book.
So the story is actually kind of funny. My husband and I were watching Shark Tank, and they had the Mensch on the Bench, which I don't know if you know about this. It's like a Jewish Elf on the Shelf, essentially.
I saw that episode, absolutely.
And they picked it up like that. And I was like, oh, come on. I could write a better story than that. And he goes, then do it. So I did not go to school for like literature. I had children of my own. I've read probably every child's book there is out there. And I got out of bed and I started writing. And when I looked down, I had almost a complete book. So I was like, oh, well, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. And he was like, well, what are you going to do with it now? And I was like, well, gosh, I don't know. Publish? So I wanted to have book in hand. This was like January. I wanted to have book in hand by Christmas. And to do traditional publishing was going to take 18 to 24 months. And you had to be picked up by a company, and then they were in control of all of the illustrations, and they can change your story as they see fit. And I was like, well, how much is it going to cost if I don't want to do that? And what exactly is involved if I want to just do this myself? So we looked into it and weighed the pros and cons, and 7 months later, I had books in hand.
Wow. So, okay, this is so inspiring because, well, first off, I always say on the record that I think there's a story inside of all of us, and you've proven that with this first book. But for the audience who hasn't been introduced to this book yet, without giving all of it away, just kind of talk about the story of the book if you can.
Sure. So I'll tell you why I wrote it first. When my oldest was 2 or 3, we were looking at Christmas traditions. We had some from my family, some from his family that we were pulling in, and we wanted some of our own. And I, at the time, was 100% against that little guy that sits up on the shelf.
We won't say his name.
I'm not sure if that's like a trademark or copyright infringement,
right.
So we'll just say the guy that sits on the shelf.
Yep.
Because I was like, I don't like the concept of I'm going to be good for 24 days because a toy is watching me, and then the rest of the year I'm just going to do whatever I want. So we were also looking for a way for our kids to learn Christmas is more than just about getting. It's not just about waking up on Christmas morning and getting all these presents and getting what I want and getting time off school. It's about giving too. So I started looking for something that was child relevant, that was giving back at Christmas time. And surprisingly, there was not a lot out there, especially as far as like traditions go. There were a couple books. There was the message of, it's better to give than receive, but there wasn't really something concrete that they could understand, which is kind of what inspired this whole story. My girlfriend was actually making bags that were, she messaged them or marketed them as, if you don't want to wrap all your gifts, I'll make you a bag that says like, to Jamie from Santa, and you'll put all your gifts in there and you don't have to wrap them. And I said, well, what if we did to Santa from the Esbrook family? She's like, I don't understand why you'd want to do that, but I can make that for you. So I had her make us one, and that kind of sparked the whole idea. The kids asked, why do we have this bag for Santa? And I kind of gave them my little synopsis of, when we look around our house, we have more than we need. There's toys from when you were little, there's toys that you thought you wanted that you don't play with, or there's toys that maybe just have been forgotten in a shelf or in the attic or in the basement. So what if we were to give those toys back to Santa? And then on Christmas, he could pick them up on Christmas Eve, take them back to his workshop, and the elves could fix them up, make them look brand new, and give them to other kids next year. Because how much easier would it be for those elves to just put on a new coat of paint on a train instead of making a brand new train? Or to sew up a little stitch in a bear instead of making a brand new bear? And the light in their eyes when I said that was incredible. Just that oh moment of, we could help Santa. Like, we can be helpers for Santa. And that's kind of what inspired the whole story. And that's what the story is about.
Well, that is just so remarkable. I know my audience right now is chomping at the bit to figure out how to be a part of this, because I think what I love about it is, and I'm sure you've heard this, it's so simple, but it's so impactful that adults and kids can get excited about it. And I would imagine from your kids' experience and the experiences that you've heard, what's been some of the feedback that you've gotten from other families?
Nothing but positive. It's been there. I've had messages in July with people messaging me saying kids are asking if Santa comes mid-year. They found something, they didn't want to put it in the garage sale, they want to give it to Santa. And that's cool to see. Like, even year round, they're thinking about the book. I have one family that will message me and they're like, reading a bag for Santa again, March 23rd, like, because the kids love the story. They love the message that I can help someone else, that what I have and don't need is going to make someone else's Christmas be that special.
So you're contributing. What I love about this is you're contributing not only to what we're all trying to do as parents, which is, hey, let's have our kids read books and enjoy reading and be a part of that, but you're also obviously subscribing them to that give back mentality. So let's play this out. We've got the book, we've got the bag for Santa, we fill it. Where how do we get these to Santa?
So Santa comes on Christmas Eve, and he will empty the bag of toys into his sleigh and then leave the bag for you to fill again next year. And then he takes them back to the North Pole. If you are anxious and cannot wait until Christmas Eve or would like to donate toys other times of the year, there is a great organization called Operation Christmas Bolingbrook and Rich Indeed here in Plainfield that both accept gently used toys year-round.
Love it. And shout out to our friend Joette Doyle from Rich Indeed. Absolutely. So I'm super excited because, obviously this is the Christmas season. This book, I can imagine it's going to start, just running off the shelf when people hear this interview. I'm excited to get my copy for my kids. But I am really also excited to talk about the second book that you've written. So can we talk about, so first off, you are someone that no background, had an idea, husband said, go ahead and do it. And now we're on to the second book that has had huge success. And I'm going to give you my personal anecdote about it, but I'd like for you to share with the audience about The Gift of Time.
Sure. So The Gift of Time. So when I wrote this one and had the idea, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to write one for every single season. They're all going to have a bag, and they're all going to, I don't know, in my head it was going to work out. Truth of the matter is the bags are a pain. No retailers want it because it's hard to shelf. You have to have a whole box thing. It takes up too much floor space. And creating the bag itself was a lot of hoops to jump through. So I was like, okay, well, what if we ditch the bag and continue to go with every holiday we'll try to make a book. So in between A Bag for Santa and The Gift of Time, we had my daughter, who is not featured in A Bag for Santa because she wasn't born yet. So I was like, okay, well, we need to give her her own book, which is how The Gift of Time stars our little girl, Maddie, here. It was inspired because we go to numerous birthday parties throughout the year. Each of my 3 kids has a birthday. And we have a wonderful community of friends and family that want to gift them things because that's what you do on birthdays. And it got to the point where I was like, we don't need any more stuff. Our house looks like Toys R Us that it closed down and just opened up shop at our house. We have everything we need and more. So we started doing more experience gifts. But from my 7-year-old's like, yeah, I'd rather go go-karting. That sounds great. My 2-year-old's like, what do I unwrap? I want to open something. So I thought it would be a great idea to create a book that could be both. So the book is the story about why it's better to have experience gifts than to have a physical toy to open. But the very first page is a dedication page where you can say, Dear Joe, happy 21st birthday. We are going to Disney World, or we are going to the movies, or we are doing whatever the experience is. So they have a physical gift to open, but their actual gift is the experience.
Yeah, so I have to share this with you. First off, this book is amazing. It ended up in my home, and I read it to my son Will for the first time just a few weeks ago, And I got to share this experience with you live on the show. We start reading it, and it's about young Maddie that is turning 4 years old. And today, the day of us recording this interview right now, today is my son's 4-year-old birthday.
Oh my goodness.
And while we're reading this, and in the story it talks about being 3 weeks before the birthday, we literally started reading this 3 weeks before his 4th birthday. And as I'm reading this, he turns to me and he goes, "Daddy, is this book about me?"
Yep, it sure is, Will.
Because it was an amazing moment with my son. But as I'm reading it to him and going through the story, I'm being inspired by what the message is about how, clearly the gift of time is so much greater than anything else. And it's just such a powerful book for the message of what you shared that I think many, many parents who are watching this right now can resonate with, that our houses have enough, and those experiences is what really, gets remembered. So such a beautiful inspiration. And I guess for me, I felt as though you wrote it for us, so thank you. But I'm excited for everyone else to get to enjoy it. Now, is it too daring to say, is there a third book in the bullpen?
There is. It is almost fully written, but we need to recoup a little bit of cost from this one before we can fund it.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be a Valentine book. Same message. We don't need stuff. We're just going to spread love.
I love it. So, I have to ask you, because I think it's just such a courageous thing to do, to take this leap and to go in this direction. There's so many reasons why you could have said, no, I'm not going to take this journey and go for it. And you've changed the lives of many with your words. What would you say to someone out there that's watching right now that has a comparable inspiration and hasn't yet take the pen to paper like you did?
I would say go for it. I mean, even if I were to sell one book to you and Will got that message of, "Oh, Daddy, is this about me?" that impacts that one person's life.
Beautiful.
And I think that, if no one ever bought these books, I at least would have them and I could hand them to my kids and they could read them to their kids and they could be passed down that way. And the fact that other people are inspired by these books and wanting these books is just awesome. I mean, for the first 2 years I had Santa, I think I cried every time I read it out loud.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine that there is going to be a long list of children's books that are going to be coming from Kendra Esbrook. And we're excited to see that, and I encourage you to keep going. Kendra, I know people right now are saying, okay, how do we get these books? What's the best way for them to try to order them?
You can get them direct from my website, which is abagforsanta.com.
Awesome. So great. You've been a hero to many. You were a hero to me reading that book for the first time, and now consequently have read it every single night because that's the book he loves the most. So thank you for that. But being a real community hero, in closing for the interview, I asked you the question, who is your everyday hero?
That's a hard one. Honestly, the moms. Every mom out there that is in their house thinking my work doesn't matter, thinking I have another load of dishes to do, I have another load of laundry to complete. We're the ones out there that are making the difference. And I was driving the other day and I stopped and I was like, what is all this for? Like, why are we here? What are we doing? It was on the way back from another swim lesson or another karate meet or whatever it was. And I was like, oh, we're here to love each other. That's the whole reason for all of this. The whole point of being here is just to love and be loved and spread love. And I think anyone out there that's doing that as their main goal every day is my hero.
Kendra, that was a beautiful response, and thank you for being a real community hero to so many.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you to our audience for tuning in to another episode of Not Your Average Joe, powered by Mortgage Message. We'll see you next week, everyone. Take care.
Hi, I'm local author Kendra Esbrook. I was just a guest on Not Your Average Joe, and if you have a local hero you'd like to nominate, we'd love to hear their story.